I'm out of pistachio nuts. That's another thing on the list. We're going to have to go to the store during a pandemic just for pistachio nuts. And then I'm digging around in these easy to lose sort of thing. And I'm like, where's the... Awesome. Wow, that is cool. Guess what I have? Yeah. So where'd the sanitizer go?
Well, we had a bottle of sanitizer and I got some aloe vera gel, I thought, at the store. Later on, when I mixed it in our hand sanitizer and then I was going to add more alcohol like vodka, I realized it was baby oil gel. So
your at-home chemistry, what they tell you, don't make your own gels?
It failed.
So what do we have?
We have baby wipes.
Which are not sanitizing.
Nope, but you can wash your hands with soap and water when we get back.
So I'm going to get out and punch the gate code in. Aha! With my stylus. You remember what the code is, right? I'm not sure. And the reason why it takes 2 or 3 times as long to do everything is just like this. The gate code changed. Where's the code? It's on the receipts. Where are they? Oh, they're in the Airstream. Okay. So we're waiting. Welcome back to Scotomaville. This is a really interesting time in history. You have an opportunity to become more self-aware than almost all humans on the planet. I mean, this is the first week in April 2020. We are maybe 50 to 60% up the first slope of the bell curve globally for one of the most challenging things that most people will have ever gone through. And you, like good friend and helper Garth Hardin, who's transcribing these videos, are locked down. You're going through,
you know, the job was dangerous when they took it.
You may not have chosen to go through. And so you're being forced to consider the world from a different point of view. That's a great thing. It's a really great thing. And it's a fabulous opportunity to lead, starting here, and change the destiny of your life. So let's recap just a little bit. Let's pull back. The first piece of the book is on awareness. And within that, I'm giving you a bunch of tools. And you see the visual on this. I'm offering you a set of tools. I want you to be empowered to fix things. When they come up, I want you to be able to pull things out, and just be ready. Okay, here we go. I need this, I need this, I need this. So far, we've talked about things like peeling back onions, the ability to get to the root of your belief. Today, we're going to talk about attention and fixation. We're going to make the distinction between fixating and simply paying attention. And because we're traveling, we're in an Airstream, I'm going to serve a number of the people watching to learn about Airstreaming and learn how do you live in a small space. And so I can reach out to you, those of you now that are living in isolation, and in the future, those who are considering a tiny home and a small house and an RV lifestyle, and even just getting along in your really big mansion. But we're going to use the tools that I have, and one of those is to be authentic, to be sincere. And as you can tell, this is not scripted. I haven't opened the book other than to try to organize some things. So I'm speaking to you from my heart, out of experiences that I've had. The difference between fixating on something, right? Like the Scotomaville card, the blind spot card, the exercise that I started with. The difference between fixating and paying attention has to do with the emotional baggage that it brings with it. You know what it's like? For me, I have to put earplugs in because, doggone it, the airplanes are back up training the students. And people are talking in the campground from time to time, and kids are playing, and I can't focus because I can't pay attention on what will build a bridge between me and you, what will connect some of those memories in your mind with your current events and with the tools that I'm offering you. You can go, ding, I know how to fix this one now. I don't have to live with that. I don't have to be victimized by a voice that keeps going on in my head from my childhood. And even though the emotions are there, even though the recall triggers the amygdalas and the fight or flight and all that physiology happens, wait a second, I can step back, take the damn trash out to the dumpster, and I can start working on this. So we got to deal with a couple of things in today's tool. I'm going to peek under the hood. I'm going to open that hood up and look at a couple of things that go on inside your brain. And I am not a scientist. I am not a physician. I'm an amateur student, and I have listened to some pretty smart people. The way we remember things, as I see it, is that we have billions of neuronal connections that form electrical pathways. Our memories are just patterns that we have heard and seen and felt, and we recall and we associate. And there's two different sides of our awareness and our thinking. I took a really fabulous class. It was called Learning How to Learn. And it was taught by a neuroscientist and a researcher. It's one of the largest online courses that you can take. It's taught at Coursera. In that class, they talk about two different facets of thinking. One of those is diffuse, like throwing things to the wind, right? A swarm of ideas scattered around your head, a history of memories. And you can access those things in your mind by the opposite of focus. Diffuse thinking is what happens when you get in a zone in your, as Garth would do, mountain biking, or for me, windfoiling, or snowboarding, or cross-country cycling. It's those times when you think broadly about ideas, you daydream, you meditate, you just get in that zone. And ideas can be found in association. So it's broad pattern thinking. The other side of awareness is focus mode. It's what happens when we study, or when we're typing on a keyboard, when we're writing code, we're solving a problem, we're thinking intensely, soaking in what's happening right in front of us. That kind of attention is required to learn new things. And when we've soaked that in, and the class recommends at about roughly a 40-minute period of that, and it's like, okay, let's go have some diffuse time. Let's see how those new ideas are related to other things I've learned, and which ones I want to keep and which ones I want to ingrain. Think of any trail that you have been on. If you've gone for hikes or you've seen animals through the, as we have here, the burro trails, right? You've seen us riding on those. They're donkey trails throughout the desert here. Our memories, when we recall them again and again and again, form short circuit might be a way of describing it. They form a familiar pathway. Technically, they become insulated, like a wire with the insulation around the outside of it. It's called a myelinated sheath. They become more trusted, more worn, more frequented. That's where our habits come from. You see, the information that we gather in focus mode, we then associate to things in diffuse mode, and that becomes our belief system, which ultimately forms our attitudes about things. Like, how do we deal with the current pandemic individually at this time in our house without the resources that we want, the food, the toilet paper, whatever, the money, beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors. And what happens is that we recall things, something triggers how we feel, and our biology takes over, and we react. We come off the handle. And what I'm hoping to show you is a few examples so that you can distinguish with this tool the difference between focus, attention on something, and fixation. When you're obsessed or you can't get it out of your head, everywhere you look is the same thing. Attention can work for us because it helps us avoid consequences, things breaking, getting injured, doing that again, right? Repeating old habits. The awareness of our behavior helps us to reroute where we're going. But when we become obsessed, when we are fixated on the little tiny things, we can drive ourselves crazy and drive other people crazy. Let's have a look at some examples around the Airstream of the difference between fixation and attention.
Part of what the full-time Airstream experience is, it's hard to describe. I mean, obviously you can see the big messies, right? The big messies. But what happens is you start seeing the fingerprints. See that? That's a handprint. You want to clean that. And then you get like, what the heck? I should fill these holes from the magazine rack that is not there anymore. It's a reflection in the cabinet of the view outside. But what do I see? And you can get fixated on this because we're pattern recognizing beings, right? You got a really wonderful view of the desert, but here's what happens. You start going, where did those dots come from? I'm getting ready to make the bed, and what is that? Oh, this is the plastic from the, you know, it's the sheeting that was on top of the aluminum. Oh my gosh, that little plastic stuff is everywhere, Angelina. It was on the aluminum before they built it, and then they peeled it off after it was built, and it's like in every one of the little seams.
Oh, imagine how much bacteria is under that plastic.
No, I don't want to imagine that.
Once you start looking, you're going to just make the bed, and then you go, oh, what's down there? What is that down there? You become abundantly aware of little things like that, and especially now that we're all focused on floating particles. So it turns out one of the benefits, the big values of full timing in an Airstream is that you get to discover how easy it is to fixate on smaller and smaller and tiny and minuscule little life non-important things. Okay, it's yours.
This is why I brush my hair outside.
They start becoming big things in your mind. Plastic in every one of the seams on the inside. What? I gotta go dig that out? No. Move on, pick something big. Let's work on some global issue here. It really helps with awareness because it just pushes it all to the forefront. And you go from the big world view to, dang, I have to fix those rivets. Yeah, I know, this cabinet's pulling out, so, right, we had to temporarily tape it, but the rivet's coming out. Why is it doing that? Oh, nice view. But I gotta work on this. More work. Yeah, that would be a handprint. So it's time for my shower. Well, our shower. Who's taking a shower? We're both gonna get a shower. Oh, because we get to dump.
Yeah, we get to.
Yeah, okay. So we're going to use all 6 gallons of the hot water on 2 of us, and we're going to fill that 24-gallon tank because we're going to dilute it. And there's about 12 gallons that's going to go into it right now. But we're going to go dump it. So you plan your showers. You don't just go take a shower. What's that smell? Well, it's this. This is the drain. Where does the air that's in the drain, in the gray tank, when you put water down there, the air has to come out. Get it? Water in, air out. And what does that do? It makes your first few minutes in your shower require this, because you're like, that's a sulfury kind of smell. What's the deal? Yeah, that's what it is. Here's the point. The point to grab. If you're going to watch this video and laugh with us a little, leave with a lesson. Ready? I can see myself. Ooh, weird. No, that's not the lesson. The lesson is, you're not living in a home. You're living in a vehicle. Think about living in your car. How often do you find a French fry down there between the seat belt and the carpeting? Yeah. Well, you'll find it all over your Airstream. Everywhere. Every time you stop. And when you open those little sloped, cute little stuff jumps at you. So you're living in a vehicle. And it's going to get grimy and dirty, and you're going to have a horrendous opportunity to not fixate, to not focus on but to look at the bigger picture. That's the lesson. Living in a vehicle, focus on the big picture, right?
Like the view out the window and the sound of the happy donkeys.
There's a saying that goes like this. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. I want to help you understand current events for me. So I'm wearing earplugs and trying to record and getting stirred up inside. There's a lot that I want to communicate, and there's little time of attention for most people. So I feel a bit pressured to articulate with the most precise words as a highly functional Asperger. These are pictures in here. These are not words in here. So Angelina and I had a few words. She's mostly quiet. I have most words, which is interesting, about the frustration people are parking. I'm at the laundromat. Why am I at the laundromat? I'm waiting for a load inside. Why did I get triggered? Because I didn't want to go to the laundromat. I wanted to just wash the clothes that why do we have so few clothes? Becomes the problem. Oh, I'm frustrated that I have to go to a laundromat and potentially expose myself to the coronavirus because I simply don't have but 5 pair of boxer shorts. That means that I have 4 in the dirty clothes when I'm wearing one, which means every 5th day I have to go to the laundromat to wash clothes. Okay, that's why I got triggered. Just buy more pants. Oh, that doubles the time between washings, which halves the exposure that I am to others and others are to me. And of course, while I'm there, I'm using this. For sure, on everything. So I'm including this bit to say it's a journey, remember? It's not a location. You won't have arrived, but you'll be leaving Scotomaville on this journey. And so there was a current event. Buy more underwear, Daniel. You're not mad at Angelina. You're frustrated. Your emotions are up because you're caught between 2 constraints. And so I'm extending this training, this episode, if you will, so that you can see a living example. Well, you're becoming more aware of where your attention is and when you get to fixation on something. I hope. A lot of words to say. Hey, I really appreciate you. You're going to make it. You're going to do just fine. Come follow me.